MiniMax just dropped something that nobody really saw coming, and the AI developer world is still processing what it actually means. We're talking about MiniMax M2.7, a model that helped build itself, scored 56.22% on SWE-Pro, matching GPT-5.3 codex, ran over 100 rounds of self-improvement with zero human input, and now they dropped a free command line tool on top of it that gives any AI agent on your computer native access to image generation, video, speech, music, vision, and live web search all in one package. And the crazy part is that MiniMax is not one of the big household names in this race. They just quietly showed up and put numbers on the board that most people were not expecting. So let me explain why this double release matters right now. Let's start with the model itself. MiniMax M2.7 is built on a design called Mixture of Experts, or MOE for short. Here is the thing about MOE. It does not use all of its brain power at once. It only switches on the parts that it actually needs for each task. And the detail that really tells you how efficient this is, M2.7 only activates 10 billion parameters at a time, even though the full model sits at 230 billion total. That means it runs at a speed and cost level you would expect from a much smaller model while still hitting quality scores that compete with the biggest names in the field. Think of it like a huge team where only the right specialists step in depending on the job, instead of everyone working on everything at once. Now, one important thing to know before we go further. M2.7's weights are publicly available on Hugging Face right now. You can download them, run them locally using SGLang, VLLM or transformers and build on top of them. But the license is non-commercial. Personal use and research are free. If you want to use it in a commercial product, you need written permission from MiniMax. So it is open weight but not fully open source in the traditional sense. That distinction matters and it is worth being clear about. Now, here is where the numbers start telling the real story. On SWE-Pro, which is a tough benchmark that tests real software engineering work, things like fixing bugs in live systems, reading through long log files, reviewing code for security problems, and working across multiple programming languages, M2.7 scored 56.22. That puts it right next to GPT-5.3 codex. And honestly, when you look at what SWE-Pro actually tests, this is not easy. It is not asking the model to write a simple function. It is throwing messy, real-world production problems at it. On top of that, M2.7 hit 57.0% on Terminal Bench 2, which measures how well a model understands complex systems at a deep level, not just surface code. It also scored 56.5% on SWE Multilingual, 52.7% on Multi-SWE Bench, and 55.6% on Vive-Pro, which is a benchmark for building full projects from start to finish, like web apps, Android, iOS, simulation tasks, all of it. The real breakthrough here though is not the benchmark numbers. It is what M2.7 actually did inside MiniMax's own offices to get there. MiniMax gave the model a task: go improve yourself. And it did. The model ran what they called an iterative loop, analyze where things went wrong, plan a fix, change the code, run a test, check the result, and then decide whether to keep the change or throw it away. It repeated this cycle more than 100 times in a row with no human stepping in. The result of all that self-directed work was a 30% improvement on MiniMax's internal test sets. An AI running over 100 rounds of experiments, catching its own mistakes and coming out 30% better on the other side. That is the kind of thing people have been talking about theoretically for years. And now there are real numbers attached to it. MiniMax also tested M2.7 on something called MLE Bench Lite, an open set of 22 machine learning competitions released by OpenAI. These competitions can run on a single A30 GPU and they cover nearly every single of a real machine learning workflow. The setup was simple: give the model short-term memory, let it reflect on what it just did, and let it try to do better next time. 3 separate 24-hour trials were run. The best run produced 9 gold medals, 5 silver medals, and 1 bronze medal. The average medal rate across all 3 trials was 66.6%. To put that in context, Gemini 3.1 tied it at exactly 66.6. GPT-5.4 came in at 71.2% and Opus 4.6 led at 75.7%. For a publicly released open weight model, those are genuinely strong numbers in an honest head-to-head comparison. Now here is where it gets interesting beyond code. MiniMax also pushed M2.7 into office work. On GDPval-AA, a benchmark that compares domain knowledge and task delivery across 45 different models, M2.7 scored an ELO of 1495. That is the highest score among all open-weight models in the comparison. Only Opus 4.6, Sonnet 4.6 and GPT-5.4 scored above it. It beat GPT-5.3. On Toolathon, a benchmark for how well a model uses tools correctly, it hit 46.3%, landing in the global top group. And on MMX-CLI, MiniMax's own test built from real-world usage patterns, M2.7 kept a 97% skill follow rate while managing 40 different complex skills, each one longer than 2000 tokens, and finished with 62.7% overall accuracy, very close to Sonnet 4.6. The finance example from MiniMax's own testing shows what this looks like in practice. You give M2.7 a company like TSMC, it reads the annual reports on its own, goes through earnings call transcripts, cross-checks research reports, builds out revenue assumptions, creates a financial model in a spreadsheet, then generates a full presentation and a written research report, all from one task. Their team said the output is good enough to use as a first draft that goes straight into real workflows. One detail that really stuck with me is what M2.7 can do during a live production emergency. When something breaks in a running system, the model can connect monitoring data to recent deployments, run statistical checks on trace data, connect directly to the database to verify the root cause, find the missing file in the code that caused the problem, and apply a fix in a way that does not take the system down while it is happening. MiniMax says this process has cut recovery time from production incidents down to under 3 minutes on multiple occasions. That is not a benchmark, that is a real number from real work. And they also launched agent teams, which is native multi-agent work backed directly into the model. This is not just calling multiple tools, it is the model being able to hold a stable role inside a team of other AI agents, push back on teammates when their logic does not hold up, and make its own decisions within complex workflows. In their own reinforcement learning team, M2.7 now handles between 30% and 50% of the full daily workflow on its own, with humans only stepping in for the most important decisions. Now let's talk about the second release, because this one is just as interesting in a completely different way. MiniMax dropped MMX-CLI, a free command line tool that gives any AI agent or any developer native access to all of MiniMax's models in one place. One command and you can generate text, images, video, speech, music, analyze image with vision, and run live web searches. The tool works with Cloud Code, Cursor, and Open Code, so it plugs right into the AI agent setups that developers are already using every day. It supports more than 30 different voices for speech, streaming playback, batch image generation, async video creation with progress tracking, and instrumental music generation without lyrics. 2 commands to install and you are running. In fairness, this CLI is brand new and the GitHub repo is still very early in terms of community size. The MMX-CLI requires a paid MiniMax token plan to use the API, so it is not completely free end-to-end. And M2.7 itself still has limits. It is a text-only model. It can help you work on Word, Excel and PPT files, but it has no built-in vision or audio understanding of its own. And like every agent skill, it still needs humans involved for the decisions that really matter. The self-evaluation loop is impressive, but teaching a model to judge which ideas are truly meaningful versus just tactically interesting is still an open problem for everyone in this field. The bigger picture here is that the open weight side of AI just got a serious contender. For months, the main conversation has been about which closed model from which big lab is leading the leaderboards. MiniMax just showed up with a model that codes at a near top tier level, helped improve its own next version, handles office work better than GPT-5.3, runs on only 10 billion active parameters out of 230 billion total, and comes paired with a ready-to-use tool that connects agents to images, video, voice, and search from a single terminal window. All of it downloadable right now. No waitlist, no API key required to get the weights. The question or sitting with is this: if a model can already handle 30 to 50% of a research team's daily workflow while running self-improvement loops in the background, what does that number look like 6 months from now? That is where we will wrap it up. Drop your thoughts below. Make sure you are subscribed, hit the like button, and I will see you in the next one.